you click start broadcast?
Mhm.
Okay. There's a little delay. Okay.
Now it is. Can I start? Can you hear me? Okay, I'll start now. Okay. Um, Good afternoon. My name is Celine Hernandez. I am at Doherty Elementary. I am a second grade teacher. There at Doherty Elementary, and I teach math and science. Um, I have included my email right here and also my Twitter account if you would like to follow me. In my classroom, we have two student computers, and we also each get 5 iPads that we share that I get, and we have six, no, 30 total for our grade level. Um, and as well as my computer, the teacher computer, and the teacher iPad. I am going to share with you the ISTEs, which are the technology standards that we're going to be looking at today, and they're creative communicator, where the student communicates clearly and express themselves creatively for a variety of purposes using platforms, tools, styles, formats, and digital media appropriate to their goals. And we're going to be looking at the 6A, student chooses the appropriate platform and tools for meeting the desired objectives of their creation or communication. 6B, students create original work or responsibly repurpose or mix digital resources into new creations. 6C, students communicate complex ideas clearly and effectively by creating or using a variety of digital objects such as visualizations, models, and simulations. And 6D, students publish or present content that customizes the message and medium for their content audience. I'm sorry, for intended audience. And I'm going to be doing my presentation on Google Drawing. So what is Google Drawing? Google Drawing is a free web-based diagramming software developed by Google. And like I said, and it says right here too, it is a free Google application that you're able to use. And where can you find Google Drawing? So here I have a picture of where you can go if you go to your Google Drive and click on the new button. Then you'll go on to more, and it'll give you a couple more options, because when you go on there first, it only gives you Google Docs as an option, Google Sheets, and Google Slides. But if you click on more, this other window will pop up and it'll show you Google Drawing. So then you click on Google Drawing, and I'm going to show you. Once you click on it, it will take you here to a blank page. And you can start working on your activity here. Right now, it's just a blank checkered looking page. But if you go to the right bottom corner and right click it, you can go into choose your background, and you can choose any color, customize it. We'll give you where you can create your own color. I'm just going to pick an easy color here. Easy background. I'll just pick a blue. Okay. And there are several things that you can do here. There's shapes, different shapes for create, like right now, for example, in math, where we were learning about the 3D shapes and 2D shapes, two-dimensional shapes. So you could go on here and have your students use these shapes for creating their activities, or maybe sometimes even just having one ready for them to start working with. Arrows, call outs if you're doing maybe like comic strips, or learning about something and they want to add call outs. Here's a text box where you can add text. There's also where you can add images either from your drive, from your own personal photos, from your camera. Also, you could probably even just pull up another window with, I don't know why these are popping up, with just Google and look up Google Images to add on there. What I was going to show you for creating, like, for example, one of the things you'll see even later, creating flowcharts, graphic organizers. If you're having the students create them, this would be a super easy way for them to create it. They would just have to pick out one of these or even they can be creative and pick a different shape for creating their graphic organizers, bubble maps, even the diagrams, the Venn diagrams, sequencing. Oh, no, not that. You don't need that. Sequencing stories. For example, right now we're talking about the life cycle of different insects. You could have them use those for putting the different life cycles of the butterflies, the different insects. You could make one copy and then do the other stages here, or just for a sequencing for one of the sequencing a story. Other, sorry, I don't know what's doing that. Other sequencing ideas that you might have for your classroom. So this is something I also thought about right now that my students are doing shapes. They could, where is it? Shapes. Get the shape created and label what kind of shape it is, maybe creating other shapes from those shapes. There's so many things that you could do here for math. A lot of tools, inserting tables, diagrams. What else? Just playing with it and adding pictures if you, depending on how creative your students want to get. And then let me see. So I also want to show you a couple of other ways that it can be used, like for different subjects that you guys are learning about. Right now, I kind of focus on some of the ones that we're looking at in my classroom or my partner's class as well. And I got a couple of examples. Like this one I found online, cyber safety, maybe creating custom graphics about it. And here I have another example that I saw when I went to one of the trainings. Just getting creative, adding a lot of colors, shapes, letters, depending, again, how creative you want to get. Like I was saying, for science, right now we're learning about life cycles. And this is one that I just found online for the life cycle of a tree. Also, I have this other one that I kind of started you could do one where you already have it set up for them. I went ahead and started this one, and I put the 4 different stages that the butterfly would go to, and it says the life cycle of a butterfly. So you could have something like this already ready for your students, where they just come in and label the different stages of the butterfly. They find their own pictures and place them in the correct order. They could add more text boxes and talk about the metamorphosis of the butterfly. You could also change this to some of the other insects that they're learning about as well. Let's see. I found also this one for the water cycle. Oh no, I think I also saw this one in one of the trainings that I went to. It has the same thing. It's already ready for them. It's one that the kids could just fill in, find the pictures to go with it, and maybe add a text box where they also explain how the water cycle works, as well as maybe, depending on your grade level and how much your students can do, having them start from scratch, and maybe having a group of your higher kids and teaching them how to use the program first, and then they can teach their group how to use it, and they create their Google drawing from scratch. Let's see what else. So that was something for science. For math, again, you could start from scratch, having them put those shapes in. I work with second grade right now, so having them use those shapes already ready for them. Sometimes it's hard for them to draw those shapes, like all the sides, especially when you start getting to the polygons with more shapes. I mean, with more sides, it starts getting a little bit difficult for them to draw them. So this would be a great program for them to just put them on there, and then maybe labeling the shape and describing their characteristics. Or this example right here is an interactive one where it's already ready, and the students just have to put it and put the correct shape or the word in, whether it's a quadrilateral or any of the other polygons. Also working with timelines. I chose this one because it could be done with math, with reading, with social studies for timelines. In math, we're going over time, and the kids are having a difficult time thinking about the AM, PM. So one of the things that I remember we did at the beginning of the unit was doing a timeline so that they would be able to see what you do in the morning at 8 in the morning versus what you do at 8 in the evening, or 8 p.m., a.m., p.m., and what you would be doing, for example, at 3:30, you'd be in school versus what you would be doing at 3 a.m. Also, here's another example. The life of George Washington. They could do a timeline of themselves. If you're studying about a character, or I don't know, I guess like George Washington, you could do a timeline of his life. So that would be another way that you could use those. But the timeline for the day, we had our students create a timeline of what their day kind of looks like, and put whether it would be an AM event or a PM event. For reading, I have flowcharts, a lot of flowcharts here. This would be the one for cause and effect. Again, you could have one already ready for them, like this one, where you have created it and they just fill in the boxes, or again, depending on how good your kids are with this program or what grade they're in, if they're able to create their own. But again, being able to have those shapes already makes it easier for them and quicker. When I was practicing making the boxes, it was a quick make to do them. And here's another example. And this is the one that I was talking about that I made, and I probably made it in less than like 2 minutes. It was super easy, and it even allows you to add the arrows so that you could see like what where the flow of the sequence chart. So that's another example. What else? Point of view. They could get really creative with this one, adding pictures and describing the different points of view, what the first person does, what the third person does, the second person, and maybe creating even more custom graphics. I know my partner was saying right now that we're talking about advertisement. This would be a really good tool for them to use to create an advertisement. I believe they were making cereal boxes to advertise their cereal box. But I mean, with this one, they could get anything that they would want to advertise and put pictures and different reasons why they would want to sell it. So another idea. This one again is one I got it from an example from Google. You could have it already ready for them or have them create their own when talking about different characters. What else? And for social studies as well, this was one that I saw in one of the trainings that we went to. It was an interactive activity. And this one's already done as well. And the students would just follow the instructions here and complete the map according to, again, the instructions. Something else, flyers, creating flyers. And this is actually one flyer that I made for my soccer team when we were starting back up. And it was, again, super easy, super quick to make because all the things are there. This one's very simple. Probably did it like maybe in 15 minutes because it needed to be going out soon. So if limited in time for the students to work on. I know it gets busy in the classroom. You're gonna have to get stuff done. So creating some of these would be, I think, pretty easy for the kids to do in the classroom. And another one that was also shared there with me at the training was this one, Google Slides versus Google Drawings for infographics. And again, like the students could create their own. And what else? Some of the resources that I use for here, again, were Google Images, some of the things that I learned during the digital learning trainings, and the EC's website as well. And this is the end of the presentation. My email, again, is right here. I am at Doherty Elementary, and that is my Twitter account for you to follow me if you would like. And before we ended, I wanted to include the credit link. We were having some issues with the chat, but I am including the credit link here so that you get credit for joining in this class. So I'll leave that up for a minute. And I'm also going to leave like 5 minutes, well, for questions.
Yeah,
2 or 3 minutes for questions, if there are any.
Can you import those pictures into a slide or a doc? The things that you create on drawing, can they be imported into, like if you want to
Can
put
you
your,
download them or?
I don't know, I'm asking, can you put them into a slide? You don't know that? Okay. Okay. Because I know they're not considered an image,
Mhm.
so I don't know.
Okay, well, I hope you were able to learn something new from the presentation, and that's it. That's it.
Good job.